Welcome to English Lecture Notes. As promised, we are ready with a new video. Today's topic of discussion is transcendentalism. All literary lovers should know what is transcendentalism. I think all of you heard about this term transcendentalism, especially while reading American literature. So here is transcendentalism. Transcendentalism is a very formal word that describes a very simple idea. People, men and women equally, have knowledge about themselves and the world around them that transcends or goes beyond what they can see, hear, taste, touch or feel. Transcendentalism is a philosophical movement that developed in the late 1820s and 1830s in the eastern United States. The term transcendental itself was first coined by the 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant in the 1781 publication of his Critique of Pure Reason. So, this term was coined by Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher and one of the central Enlightenment thinkers. In his doctrine of transcendental idealism, Immanuel Kant argued that space and time are mere forms of intuition, which structure all experience, and therefore, that while things in themselves exist and contribute to experience, about transcendentalism we can say that it is a reaction against intellectualism and spirituality. Actually, their core belief is in the inherent goodness of people and nature. Spirituality should come from the self, not organized religion. The most important transcendentalist value was the importance of the individual. They saw the individual as pure, and they believed that society and its institutions corrupted this purity. Transcendentalism emphasizes subjective intuition over objective empiricism. Transcendentalism is closely related to Unitarianism. It is a movement arose as a result of a reaction to Unitarianism as well as the Age of Reason, because both centered on reason as the main source of knowledge. But transcendentalists rejected that notion. It is centered on Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson is truly the center of the American transcendental movement, setting out most of its ideas and values in a little book, Nature, published in 1836, that represented at least 10 years of intense study in philosophy, religion, and literature, and in his first series of essays. He was the founding father of the Transcendentalist movement. Other important Transcendentalists were Henry David Thoreau. Fuller was an integral part of the Transcendental community. Her writings and interactions with other Transcendentalists, such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, William Henry Channing, and Nathaniel Hawthorne, had an important influence on their own beliefs and writings. Frederick Henry Hedge was a New England Unitarian minister and transcendentalist. He was a founder of the Transcendental Club, originally called Hedges Club, and active in the development of transcendentalism. Amos Bronson Alcott became friends with Ralph Waldo Emerson and became a major figure in transcendentalism. Theodore Parker was a reforming American minister of the Unitarian Church, an abolitionist, and a transcendentalist. Transcendentalism is a belief in the essential unity of all creation, the innate goodness of humanity, and the supremacy of insight over logic, for the revelation of the deepest truths. Transcendentalism became a coherent movement with the founding of the Transcendental Club in Cambridge, Massachusetts, on 8 September 1836. The Transcendental Club was a group of New England authors, philosophers, socialists, politicians and intellectuals of the early to mid-19th century, which gave rise to Transcendentalism. This group also included many female authors and thinkers such as Sophia Ripley and Margaret Fuller. Transcendental Club used to publish their own periodical, The Dial. Margaret Fuller was the editor of this Dial magazine. A second wave of Transcendentalists emerged, however, including Mincio Conway, Octavius Brooks Frothingham, Samuel Longfellow, and Franklin Benjamin Sanborn. First one is Mincio Daniel Conway. He was an American abolitionist minister at various times, a Methodist, Unitarian, and freethinker, radical writer, and he was descended from patriotic and patrician families of Virginia and Maryland. Octavius Brooks Frothingham was a second-generation Transcendentalist. He was also an organizer and first president of the Free Religious Association. Another important thing is that he is the first historian of Transcendentalism and a biographer of several major Transcendentalists. His historical account of Transcendentalism, its name is Transcendentalism in New England in 1876, though now outdated, remains one of the more comprehensive. Samuel Longfellow is considered part of the second generation of Transcendentalists. After becoming a Unitarian pastor, he adapted the transcendental philosophy he had encountered in divinity school into his hymns and sermons. Longfellow was influenced by many of the same European thinkers and literary figures that inspired Transcendentalism, like Emerson and others. Franklin Benjamin Sanborn was an American journalist, teacher, author, reformer, and abolitionist. Sanborn was a social scientist and a memorialist of American Transcendentalism who wrote early biographies of many of the movement's key figures. Another thing about Transcendentalism is Transcendentalists are strong believers in the power of the individual and their personal freedom. Transcendentalism has been directly influenced by religions, especially Indian religions. Many important Transcendentalists were also social reformists who campaigned for the abolition of slavery and for women's rights. Transcendentalists also came to criticize existing social arrangements, which they thought prevented individual spiritual development. According to them, one must go beyond the material world to a higher, spiritual plane in order to reach basic truths. They believe that nature is a spiritual force and a source of inspiration. The Transcendental movement dramatically shaped the direction of American literature. Transcendentalism influenced a number of important American writers who helped create a national literary identity. Three of these men were Herman Melville, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Walt Whitman. In addition, the movement also influenced American artists from the Hudson River School, who focused on the American landscape and the importance of communing with nature. Ralph Waldo Emerson has been recognized as the father of Transcendentalism. If you find this video informative, do subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching.